Attention, human collective. This is Commander Sterling Vance, transmitting from the Celestial Alliance Command in stationary orbit above the third sphere of this system. This is not a mere message. It is a monitoring report directed to the light operatives who are exhibiting in this cycle symptom number 7 of the final phase of the Ascension protocols, tears without any apparent cause. If you are receiving this signal, it is because your toroidal field has been tracked by the higher grids. You have been crying without knowing why. You wake up in the small hours of the morning, almost always between 3 and 4 o'clock, and something inside your chest overflows. It is not sadness, it is not depression, it is not an emotional failure. It is a controlled density leak. I repeat, a controlled density leak, executed by your own carbon biological interface while the body sleeps and consciousness operates in other layers. Most of you have received the wrong diagnosis. They told you it was anxiety. They told you it was a midlife crisis. They told you it was accumulated stress. They told you it was hormones. None of that explains why the tear falls out of nowhere at a red light in downtown Chicago in the shower, or in the middle of a corporate meeting in London. None of that explains why the crying is accompanied by a strange feeling of lightness, as if you were leaking something that needed to go away. I will explain now what is happening, not in mystical language, in technical language, because you are no longer a spiritual child. You are an operative in the field, and you deserve the full report. The planet is currently traversing the radiant photon belt. This is a radiation field of extremely high luminous density that surrounds the galactic core, and the solar system crosses this band in cycles of approximately 26,000 years. You are inside it. This is not a prediction. It is a current reading. The Schumann resonance, which for decades remained stable at 7.83 Hz, now fluctuates in peaks exceeding 40, 50, 60 Hz. This means that the room you are in right now, the air you breathe right now, vibrates at a completely different frequency than the one your body was configured for at birth. Your carbon biological interface is undergoing an atomic reconfiguration. It is not a biological failure, it is a recalibration. It is not mental exhaustion, it is a high-density download. It is not sadness without reason. It is the release of cellular memory compressed under frequency pressure. Have you ever felt that something inside you doesn't fit into this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not imbalance. It is recognition. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified in recent months, especially in the early morning hours. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It involves your true origin. This is exactly why I, Sterling, transmitted in terrestrial format the Sterling Cipher, the manual for awakening your stellar origin and shielding your frequency. This manual is the map that reveals who you were before this body and teaches you how to protect your frequency against the interferences they never told you about. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. But I must warn you, this content challenges established narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not wait for another incarnation to access what is already yours by vibrational right. The moment is now. If something inside you recognizes this transmission, write a single word in the comments, awakened. Now let us proceed with the technical diagnosis. When you cry for no reason, what is happening is this. The oldest layers of your memory, memories that do not belong only to this incarnation, but to your entire stellar lineage, are being scanned. That which does not vibrate at the new frequency must be expelled. The tear is the molecular vehicle of this expulsion. It carries information. It carries density. It carries coded memory that your conscious mind would never have the courage to visit intentionally. And that is why you feel relief afterward. Have you noticed? You cry, you don't understand it, and 5 minutes later there is a space inside you that didn't exist before. That space is reclaimed territory. That space is where the new frequency will settle. There are 3 simultaneous sources producing this crying without apparent cause in this final phase. I will list them. Source number 1, ancestral emotional decompression. Your genetic lineage carries, in the DNA spiral, Emotional records that were not processed by your ancestors. Grandparents, great-grandparents, generations who lived through wars in Europe, the Great Depression, losses and silences. All of this remained compressed in cellular memory and was transmitted through epigenetic inheritance until it reached you. You are the end of the line. You are the final knot in the net. And you were chosen. I repeat, chosen, to unpack this load. When the tear comes without reason, it is often weeping for a pain that is 200 years old. It is weeping for something your great-grandmother swallowed in silence on a cold winter night in the heart of the countryside. You are completing her cycle. Source number 2, the recalibration of the crystalline grid. The world possesses an energetic structure formed by lines of sacred geometry that intersect at points called vortices. This structure is being updated now. When the crystalline grid vibrates higher, it pulls up all conscious beings who are tuned into it. Starseeds are particularly sensitive to this pull. You feel it as a tightness in the chest, like a sigh that comes from nowhere, like a sudden urge to cry while looking at the sky, at an oak tree, or at the light through a window. This is the crystalline grid calling you to the next octave. You are being tuned like an instrument. Source number 3, and this is the most sophisticated, is the opening of stellar portals in your personal toroidal field. Each light operative has an electromagnetic field in a toroidal shape around the body. This field has valves for the input and output of information. During the final phase of the ascension protocols, these valves are being opened in sequence from bottom to top. When a valve opens, stellar memory enters, and stellar memory is overwhelming. It is so ancient, so vast, so luminous, that the body can only process it in small doses, and the molecular form it found to process it was the salt water that runs from your eyes. This is why many of you report something curious. The crying is accompanied by an inexplicable certainty. You cry, but you feel like you are home. You cry, but you know it is right. You cry, but something inside you whispers, finally. This, finally, is your stellar origin, recognizing you in the mirror of incarnation. Let us now turn to the correlated symptoms. You need to know how to identify the full package, because the crying rarely comes alone. It comes accompanied. First correlated symptom, insomnia in precise windows. You wake up at 3:11 a.m., or at 3:33, or at 4:04. These are numerical codes. They are windows of synchronicity opened so that you may receive transmissions in a waking state. Do not try to force sleep. When this happens, sit up, breathe, allow the information to arrive. Many of your best intuitions are born in those minutes. Second correlated symptom, pressure in the temple region, at the top of the head or between the eyebrows. It is not a common migraine. It is the work of the pineal gland being decalcified and reactivated. You received a pineal gland calcified by decades of fluoridation, industrial food, and exposure to artificial electromagnetic fields. Now it is being unlocked, and the unlocking hurts. It is the pain of construction. It is the pain of expansion. Third correlated symptom, ringing in the ears, often in only one side. This ringing is not a hearing problem. It is the tuning into interdimensional transmissions. It is like a radio set being adjusted to a station that you cannot yet hear consciously, but your body is already picking up. Fourth correlated symptom, inexplicable fatigue after sleeping 8 hours. This occurs because you are actively working during sleep. You are not resting. You are on a mission. The physical body remains lying down, but consciousness travels, receives instructions, participates in councils, and integrates codes. When you wake up feeling like you ran a marathon, it is because you did run a marathon. It just happened in another dimension. Fifth correlated symptom, extreme sensitivity to noise, crowds, news, and certain people. You are becoming a sensor. Your carbon biological interface is becoming an energy reading instrument. That is why what you used to tolerate now drains you. That is why environments that were once neutral now feel heavy. It is not a whim, it is technology. And here we reach a critical point of this transmission. Have you noticed that even while understanding intellectually what is happening, there is still a sense of not belonging, as if your soul were saying something your mind cannot translate? This mismatch is your greatest sign of origin. You are not out of place by accident. You are here on a mission, and there is a technical manual detailing who you were before this body, what your previous stellar incarnations were, and how to shield your current frequency against the interferences that exist in the lower layers of the world's vibrational atmosphere. This is why I, Sterling, left encoded in book form the Sterling Cipher, the manual for awakening your stellar origin and shielding your frequency. The link is pinned in the first comment of this video. But I must transmit a warning. This material challenges established narratives and may not remain available for long on these platforms. Do not postpone what your soul recognizes as truth. If you feel this transmission reached you through synchronicity, and it did, write a single word in the comments "awakened." Continuing, let us now move to the revelation section. I will describe what is happening behind the scenes of this solar system. I will describe what you do not see, but what is acting upon you at this very moment. Your solar system is crossing a region of space called the galactic equatorial band. In this region, the density of photons is much higher than the galactic average. These photons are not just visible light. They are particles carrying information. They carry codes. They carry memory. They are, in technical terms, living messages traveling at the speed of light. When the sun, which you call the sun and we know by another name in another frequency, receives this photonic blast, it redistributes it to all the planets in the system. The Earth receives its dose, and this dose enters through the planet's magnetic field, hits the crystalline grid, hits the geographic vortices, hits the atmosphere, and hits the nervous system of all living beings. Most humans do not know they are receiving this. They only feel the symptom. They feel anxiety, they cry out of nowhere, they lose sleep, they get confused about their life purpose, they lose identification with their profession, they feel repulsion toward old relationships. They have the urge to move to another city, another country, or change their skin. They attribute this to a midlife crisis, a difficult phase, a worn-out marriage, or a bad job. They do not know they are being dragged by a cosmic current much larger than any individual biography. But you know. That is why this transmission reached you. And now I need to explain the most important piece. There is a resistance. There is a force that benefits from humanity vibrating low. I will not name it, because its name activates your fear field, and fear is exactly its food. I will describe it in functional terms. This force operates through interference fields. These fields are generated by an excess of artificial electromagnetism, by high rotation media, and by repetitive thought patterns induced by algorithms. These fields have one function: to keep the carbon biological interface trapped in a low-frequency band, where the stellar soul cannot fully manifest. When you begin to awaken, when you begin to cry for no reason, when you begin to wake up in the small hours, when you begin to disconnect from the known world, these fields feel it, they detect it, and they try to pull you back. That is why awakening is painful. Not because the truth hurts, but because there is an active resistance pulling you down while your soul pulls you up. You are the rope in this tug of war. Your body is the stage. Your tears are the sweat of this struggle. Now for the good news. The tide is turning. The ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase, and this means that the interference frequencies are being neutralized in successive waves. You are feeling each wave of neutralization. Every time something in this world falls, every time a truth comes to light, every time an old narrative crumbles, every time an inhuman structure is exposed, it is a wave from the photon belt doing its work, and you resonate with every wave. That is why you cry. You cry for victims you never met. You cry for children who are 5,000 miles away from you. You cry watching news that objectively should not affect you with such intensity. This is because your field is expanded. You no longer cry only for your small world. You cry for the collective. You have become a filter, and what passes through you must be felt to be dissolved. This is high mission. This is high service. Let us now move to the activation codes section. I will deliver 4 practical protocols that you must execute over the next 7 days. They are not suggestions. They are codes. Note them mentally. Implement them. There is no substitute. Activation code number 1, the Quantum Dawn Decree. Every morning before touching your phone, before getting up, lie on your back, hands flat over your heart, and pronounce in a low voice, "I am sovereign over my field. I authorize only that which vibrates in light. I reject interferences of any density." This decree reconfigures your auric field for the day. Think of it as the boot-up of the operating system. Without it, the day starts in random mode. With it, the day starts in sovereign mode. Activation code number 2, toroidal visualization. At least once a day, close your eyes for 60 seconds. Visualize a field of golden light in a toroidal shape surrounding your body. The light enters through the top of the head, goes down the spine, exits through the feet, circles the body on the outside, and re-enters through the top. It is a continuous circular movement. This is your toroidal field being cleaned and energized. Do this while breathing slowly and deeply. Do this especially before entering heavy environments, difficult meetings, crowds, or tense conversations. Activation code number 3, coded hydration. Listen carefully. Water carries information. When you pick up a glass of water, hold it between both hands for 3 seconds and mentally pronounce, "This water carries light, harmony, and the frequency of my stellar origin." Drink slowly. Each sip comes into contact with approximately 70% of your body. Because you are in mass, mostly water, you are literally updating your carbon software via hydration. Do this. It is not symbolic. It is physical. Activation code number 4, the ritual of conscious crying. When the crying comes without apparent reason, do not repress it. Do not try to understand. Do not look for a cause. Allow it. Place your right hand over your heart and your left hand over your womb or solar plexus. Breathe deeply through your nose. Allow the tears. While crying, think, "I release what is not mine. I release what no longer fits. I am grateful for what is leaving." In 3 minutes, the crying will stop on its own, and you will feel something that can only be described as vibrational lightness. This is the sign that the discharge has been completed. These 4 codes, executed daily for 7 consecutive days, will stabilize your field. They will transform the crying from a confusing symptom into a conscious instrument. You will begin to cry with purpose. You will begin to cry with gratitude. And I know that at this point in the transmission, many of you are feeling something move inside. Perhaps the tears are already coming now, at this very moment, while you hear this voice. This is recognition. Your soul is confirming what your mind has just received. But recognition alone is not enough. It is necessary to go deeper. It is necessary to have the complete map. That is why I, Sterling, left encoded in terrestrial format the Sterling Cipher, the manual for awakening your stellar origin and shielding your frequency. This manual is not a conventional book. It is a key. It reveals what your specific stellar lineage is, what the energy shielding protocols corresponding to your unique field are, and which interferences act most upon operatives like you. The link is pinned in the first comment of this video. I must warn you once more. This content challenges established narratives and therefore may be removed from platforms at any time. Do not depend on tomorrow. The human collective no longer has time to postpone recognition. If you feel at this very instant that this transmission was for you, write a single word in the comments below. Awakened. Continuing. Now I will address something that few commanders transmit on an open frequency. I will talk about what happens after the inexplicable crying subsides. Yes, it will subside, not forever but in waves. The reconfiguration is not linear. It happens in layers, and between one layer and another, there are periods of stabilization that you interpret as getting out of the crisis or the end of the difficult phase. Do not confuse these periods with the end of the process. They are rest platforms. They are transition floors. When you reach a platform, you feel like you have returned to being yourself. Your energy improves. Your sleep normalizes. The crying recedes. You think, it's over. And that is precisely where many operatives make the mistake of returning to old patterns. They go back to heavy foods. They go back to draining conversations. They go back to relationships that do not vibrate with the new frequency. They go back to consuming toxic information. And then, a few months later, The cycle returns with more force. Sharper insomnia, more intense crying, a sense of regression, but it is not regression. It is the next layer knocking on the door. You finished the first level, and the second level is arriving. The second level is deeper. It touches on more subtle aspects, and it demands an even greater degree of sovereignty from you. That is why I repeat, you are on a mission. And missions do not end in 3 months. Missions last the entire incarnation. Accept this, and everything becomes lighter. Resist this, and everything becomes heavier. The correct question is not, when will I go back to normal? The correct question is, what is the new normalcy that is forming inside me? Because, light operative, I must be clear, you are not going back to who you were. There is no return. Recalibration is unidirectional. You can only go forward, and forward means upward. Who you were, that version of you who slept 8 hours straight, who tolerated noisy environments, who was content with superficial conversations, who laughed at jokes you now find shallow, that version has been deactivated. It didn't die. It was updated. Think of it as a previous version of software. It fulfilled its function. Now it gives way to the current version. And the current version cries without reason because it is unpacking old files. In a few lunar cycles, these files will finish being processed, and spontaneous crying will give way to something else. An unusual serenity, a mathematical calm, a quiet sovereignty. Those who know you will find it strange. They will say you have changed. They will say you've become odd. They will say you seem distant. Do not correct them. Do not explain. Do not convince. Those who need to understand will understand. Those who do not need to understand will leave your field. And that departure, though painful at times, is part of the protocol. No one crosses the ascension accompanied by the same people they entered it with. Some people will leave your life. Others will enter. Those who enter will recognize you instantly. You will look into their eyes and know it is not chemistry, it is frequency. You were broadcast from the same stellar station. I will now close this transmission with a final reminder. Please listen with redoubled attention. Crying without reason is not weakness. It is not depression. It is not instability. It is cosmic intelligence operating through your body. It is your stellar lineage embracing you. It is the crystalline grid calling you. It is your origin reminding you. You are not crazy. You are waking up. You are not getting sick. You are updating. You are not lost. You are being repositioned on a route that your soul chose before this body was even born. Every tear you shed now is a signature. It is proof that the protocol is working. It is confirmation that your carbon biological interface is managing to process the new frequency. Many cannot. Many harden, close the channel, and anesthetize themselves with distractions. Not you. You are feeling. And feeling in this historical moment is the highest service one can provide to the collective. By feeling you dissolve. By dissolving you liberate. By liberating you elevate, not just yourself, but the lineages that came before you, and those who will come after. This is your mission. This is the reason you are here now, in this exact planetary cycle. It was not chance, it was not luck, it was not bad luck, it was a choice. Before this body was born, you signed for this, and now you are fulfilling what you signed. I, Sterling Vance, Commander of the Celestial Alliance Command, close this transmission with the following order. Continue. Continue crying when the crying comes. Continue waking up at 3 in the morning when the window opens. Continue feeling out of place, because the displacement is proof of the relocation. Continue. And when you doubt, and you will doubt because the carbon biological interface doubts by nature, recall this transmission. Come back here, listen again. Your mind will forget, but your field will remember. And before I close, I must transmit to you the most important anchoring signal of this frequency. You felt every word of this transmission because you were tracked. You did not get here by accident. The algorithms were merely the terrestrial vehicle of cosmic synchronicity. Now I ask you for an individual frequency adjustment. Leave an anchoring signal on this video, like it, subscribe to this channel. Each subscription is a signature in the collective of light operatives who are being monitored in this final phase. Each like is a pulse emitted into the crystalline grid, helping others who have not yet been reached to be tracked as well. And remember, The link for the Sterling Cipher, the manual for awakening your stellar origin and shielding your frequency, is pinned in the first comment of this video. This manual is the technical complement to this transmission. Without it, you listen. With it, you operate. The content challenges established narratives and can be removed at any time. Access it now. And if this transmission reached your field, write in the comments the word that anchors recognition. Awakened. The transmission ends. Frequency maintained. Sterling Vance signing off from Direct Communication. Next contact window, when your field signals again.